Good evening, or no, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to People of Color Beyond Faith. My name is Kimberly, and we are here to speak with our special guest today, Black Atheists of Philadelphia. And again, we've been telling you all for a while that there are groups popping up all over the country. So, what we wanted to do this month, in the month of July, is introduce you to a few of the groups around the country, give you a chance to actually get to know us as people and understand what our mission is, what we're trying to accomplish, and introduce you to different members of these groups and, leaders and activists in the Black atheist community. So it's a privilege and an honor to be able to present to you all today, Black Atheists of Philadelphia. But before we get into the conversation, I just wanted to give everybody a reminder. The People of Color Beyond Faith, we will be holding our first annual conference. Yes, this is conference number one. It will be held in Los Angeles, California at CFI Los Angeles. CFI, African American for Humanism, Secular Student Alliance, and LA Progressive are a few of our sponsors, and we would like to see you. So that will take place the weekend of October 11th and 12th, 2014 in Los Angeles, California. We have some information up on Facebook. We'll be putting out the Eventbrite this week, and we look forward to seeing you guys. The recommended hotel that we're telling people to book their reservations is the Hilton in Glendale, California. So the Hilton Glendale and Hilton Glendale, California. So, we welcome you all to start making your reservations. We look forward to seeing you. It's going to be 2 days of fun-packed panelists. We're going to have a variety of people there. We'll have Dr. Sakibu Hutchinson, Dr. Anthony Penn. We'll have Donald Wright there. A.J. Johnson is coming. Raina Rhodes will be there. Meredith Moise will be there. I'll be there. So, you will have a number of people there, and we're going to have a number of panels. And it's going to be something that you don't want to miss. So this is the first ever secular social justice humanist conference ever to take place, in the United States. So we want to see you there, and so we're looking forward to it. We kept registration low. Registration is $40, and it's $25 if you're a student. So come on, we have a variety. We'll be talking about homophobia and transphobia in the church. We'll be talking to school to prison pipelining. We'll be talking about a number of issues, and we want you to be a part of that conversation, which is another reason why we have these webcasts. We want to bring it to you because we understand that some of you aren't able to join us, you aren't able to come out to these meetings, and we just want to make sure that you have, a voice, and that we can speak for you, speaking for those that are voiceless, but also you'll have something to watch and something to listen and learn by. So again, you can find People of Color Beyond Faith on Facebook. You can find us on Twitter and Google Plus as well. So we look forward to hearing from you guys. People of Color Beyond Faith at gmail.com. If you want to send us an email, we look forward to it. And so without further ado, I would like to present Black Atheists of Philadelphia. Welcome. And today we have Jen Taylor and Shelton Henderson with us. And welcome. So I'm going to give them a chance to, speak and tell us about themselves. So Jennifer, please tell us about you. Who is Jennifer?
Who is Jennifer? Jennifer is a work in progress. Jennifer, two years ago, met other atheists for the first time, face to face, and it's been a great time ever since. I've had a number of wonderful experiences within the atheist and free thinking community, and just about 6 months ago, I took over as organizer for Black Atheists of Philadelphia. So, and recently I was appointed to the board of the Free Thought Society, and currently our group, Black Atheists of Philadelphia, is affiliated with the Philadelphia Coalition of Reason and also African Americans for Humanism.
Excellent, excellent. And Shelton Henderson, tell us a little bit about yourself. Who is Shelton?
Shelton is a 52-year-old guy that's been an atheist for about almost 25 years. And I initially I was raised in a strict I call it Hebrew Christian or Judeo Christian. I guess the people are currently known as the Hebrew Israelites at this point in time. But I was from that wave from the I guess the second generation coming out of the 1900s of the men that um, were kind of promoting that kind of separation of black people from Christianity and actually more identifying with the Hebrew Israelites of the Old Testament. Um, I really remember at one time when I started to become aware of what I was doing, going to church, is actually going in the Bible and looking for Jesus's book. What book did Jesus write? What book did the leader of this organization write within his Bible? I didn't find it. And I guess all through my teens, I had my doubts, and but I was sincerely trying to find the truth, and in finding the truth, I found that it's all nonsense. Really, it's all just something that man created to explain the unexplained. So, um, and as I got older, I just I did my research, and just recently I've started to become more active and to engage more in conversations and to fellowship, for lack of a better word, to with others of like mind, with free thinking individuals. And I'm very interested in um, having this message for young people because it seems that with the information age that it's harder to hide things from people. And I have a blog now, and I have my YouTube channel, and I've engaged with people all over the world, and it's great. And I don't think that this superstition slash mythic belief is going to survive the information age. So I want to be a part of it. So that's pretty much where I am today.
All right, that's excellent. That is excellent. And yeah, it is just very interesting because I get inboxes and emails from, quite a few young people. And basically, whenever I speak with anyone, I always ask them to say a few words to the young people out there to encourage them because we are still in our infancy. And when I say we, I'm talking about black secularists, atheists, free thinkers, humanists, whatever you may call yourself. But we're still in our infancy and we are growing by leaps and bounds. So, I know we have a lot of young people that view, the webcast, that listen to the podcast. What would you say to them, Jennifer?
I would say that you're not alone. We're out there, and if even if you're not comfortable about being public about your atheism, please feel free to reach out to people online. I get a number of inboxes from young people or people of all ages that are questioning or skeptical or want to know resources of websites they can look up or local groups. Like I get all kinds of interesting exchanges from people all over the country and different parts of the world. Where do I find a group like this? And I give them suggestions. And because I try to network a lot with organizers of different groups, I try to just send them their way, to try to get them, at least socializing, even if it's just online. Um, so it's been that's what I would suggest. That don't keep it to yourself and don't be alone. And the other thing I would suggest that is if you're living at home with mom and dad and they're paying your bills and putting you through school, you have to evaluate whether it's safe for you to come out or not. Because I've also interacted with people that have been physically assaulted by family members once they came out, and also people have been cut off and disowned from family members. So, evaluate your situation before you decide. And if you're going to come out, please do so safely. And in the meantime, if you're not able to be public, reach out to people online. And you could definitely reach out to me and Kim and Shelton and everyone else, there's so many people out there that you can reach out to. There's so many resources, books, podcasts, just so you can stay abreast of what's going on in the atheist community. So, and then when you're ready, we're here. We're here with open arms. We're here to welcome you whenever you're ready.
Excellent, excellent. And Shelton, what words of wisdom would you bestow upon our young people?
I guess the what I would start with when I was in college, I saw this button and it said question authority. It had question mark and it had authority under it. I would say question that and also question everything. And you know, challenge everything. If someone's just talking, just spouting off some uh, old wisdom, challenge it. Um, Especially when they come to you quoting, so-called scripture, is to challenge that, with a critical mind. I would say to utilize critical thinking. And as Jen said, just, evaluate your situation. If you're in a very conservative, very fundamentalist family, just be careful, evaluate what the possible outcomes may be, because people are just so steeped in religion, specifically in the black community, that it's an unspoken. It's just like eating. It's like, oh, you're going to some church, is in some families, in most families, I guess I would say. But I would say above everything, question, and then when you're confronted, be prepared to counter, because we don't have to grant. Uh, and I would say in America is the Christian viewpoint. We don't have to grant that as the null state, like, okay, yeah, everything comes from that, and I have to accept what you say. Because 9 times out of 10, once you counter or ask a question back, the person has no answer because they've just been brainwashed / spoon fed their information. They have no idea. They have no depth of knowledge of what they're speaking. They're just parroting what they were brought up to believe. So, we have every right to return questions and to challenge. We don't have to back down. That's my main thing. Is like, I will not back down when you put something to me. I don't feel bad. I know the confrontation will be uncomfortable in some instances, but we need to have that because we need that pushback. We need sharp-minded firebrands to come back, and most people, I guess, who come initially out of these belief systems, specifically the Christian belief, they're very, you get a staunchly fundamentalist person who, for some reason, becomes an atheist or a free thinker. They swing to the other side and they're ready to fight back, and I was one of those people. Was like, what? You mean this stuff is not true? It's like someone telling you that Santa, you know, that Santa Claus is not you. What? I'm anti-Santa. I'm going after these Santa people, man, with everything I got. So, I mean, that's what it is. But I guess, with me, I would suggest for the young people to just be assertive with your non-belief. Be assertive. Don't, we don't have to be passive about confronting and questioning and if there's no one in your community that if you live in the deep south. My daughter and my son-in-law live in South Carolina, and they constantly tell me, well, there's nobody around that thinks, well, start something. I'm sure you'll find some people, or interact with people all around the world. I mean, through my blog, I'm able to talk to people literally all around the world. So, there may not be people directly or a lot of people directly in your environment, but we have to realize that our community is a worldwide community. Through technology, we can talk to people all over the world. So I would say take advantage of technology, be assertive, and learn. Continue to learn and learn the arguments and learn the positions, and because they're easily it's so simple to counter the arguments from believers that it's a child can do it. So I would say those are the main points that I would give to young people.
Excellent. Excellent. And one of the things that, that has been coming forth in the secular community as of late, and I know Dr. Hutchinson, as well as myself and many others, are proponents of social justice. And this past Friday, it was National HIV Testing Day, and Black Atheists of Philadelphia was able to participate in that particular national social justice outreach program that we launched. And Jennifer, could you tell us a little bit about your experience there?
I think it was a wonderful experience and a chance to show theists that there are non-believers who care about the community. People's first perception of a person who does not believe is that they don't have morals or character, or they're anti-society and things like that. And it was an opportunity to have a sense of camaraderie with people that were believers. Like, just to share, a couple of quick stories. One of the coordinators of the group, he called me and said, "Well, Jen, I really need a ride to get some supplies down to the Leah Core Center of Temple." And I said, "Oh, okay, sure." So I came by and picked him up, and he was like, "Wow, thank God, it's such a blessing that you came to pick me up." And I said, "Well, I'm not a believer in God or gods, but I do care about the community. I'm glad to have this opportunity to do something for the community, and it's not from a place of belief in a God for me. It's a place of caring about my fellow man." And during the time, we were able to laugh and joke and hang out with some of the folks there. And this woman even came up and tried to offer Bible tracts to us. And I said, so they were like, the people at the table were like, "Oh, sure, I'll take them." And I was like, "No, that's all right." And so I escorted her back to get the testing done. And one of the fellows that was at the table said, "Hey, you really turned down those Bible tracts quick." And I said, I don't have a use or need for Bible tracts. I'm an atheist." And then, the woman that was sitting at the table said, "You're the second atheist I ever met." And the guy that was sitting at the table, he was really intrigued and wondered if I had ever believed before. And I said, "Yes, I did believe at one time, but I no longer do." I'm not here in particular to promote atheism. I'm open to answering your questions, but I mean, we're here to do a service for the community, and that's what I'm about today. And that's how it went from there. We did have some discussions, related to religion and things like that. And what we found was that we were able to reach some common ground, about how we care about people. There was about 30 volunteers with us during the course of the day that were out canvassing the streets and trying to encourage people to get tested. They handed out information to at least a few hundred people. Sure. 70 people over 70 people opted to get tested, which was great. There were even people that were a little nervous about being tested, and I was one of those happy people that was there to host, and I showed them my Band-Aid and said, "I did it, you can do it too. You'll get your results back in 10 minutes. It's really not a big deal." So by the end of the day, it was all smiles, all hugs. They were happy that I was there. They thanked me, and I look forward to working with them again for the World HIV Day, which is December 1st. I'm looking forward to doing it again. If not with those groups, or working with another group. But I'm definitely interested in doing a lot more for the community. And this was a great opportunity to get out there and show that people who don't believe do care.
Excellent, excellent. Yeah, and we're definitely strong proponents of that because, again, as I've tried to explain in the past, that basically when it comes to people of color in particular, leaving religion is a much different dichotomy than it is when white people leave religion, just in general. And I'm talking more about the stereotypical white people that are in, in atheism, and those are, cisgendered, hetero, wealthy, educated white males. So it's a little bit different. Shelton, would you like to talk a little bit about social justice and the role that secularist atheists can play in that particular culture?
Well, my thing is, I mainly concentrate on the individual, and I think that as an individual, if you start like within your family, things kind of branch out from there into a wider social um, environment. Um, if you're the same person within your family, if you're an assertive person within your family about your beliefs, about um, specifically when you interact with your family members, that you're out in the open, that just as they have a right to express themselves on a variety of issues because their belief systems are so-called in the majority, you have to challenge that. And if you challenge it on a micro level, then you challenge it, it spreads to a macro level. Every family member, and I have to say, I mean, I haven't experienced a lot of things within my family because of the diversity within my family. Um, I have, growing up, my brothers were, some of my brothers were Muslim, and I've had relatives, and still I have my relatives are gay, bisexual. It's everybody in my family, and it's like, if someone, if we love our family, and it's like, you can't talk about my family. I don't care what your views are about my family. Is, I love, that's my cousin, that's my brother, that's my sister. You can't discriminate. You're not going to send them to hell. So as an individual, if you protect your family, I think it spreads out to the wider community. Whereas look, you're just not going to stand for any injustice just because you're not the one that's on the side of the injustice. Like this one thing that really disturbed me was I guess it was a few years ago with that Chick-fil-A. That thing just really just got under my skin with the CEO of Chick-fil-A, and then black folks going to that thing and buying Chick-fil-A. I mean, I was steaming behind that
Yeah.
because it's like, okay, don't you realize that fast, go roll the tape back maybe 50 so years, you wouldn't be able to go in Chick-fil-A, and I think we have to be aware of those things and protect our loved ones. Our loved ones, by extension, become our whole community. It becomes, hey, that's my friend across the street. Okay, because the wave is going against something my friend across the street is doing, am I going to jump on a bandwagon because of that? Because, 5 years from now, something that I'm doing, is just so.
Right.
I would say that's my approach with it. Um, and speaking up, and I mean, even if you have a Facebook page or a YouTube channel or a blog, if you speak up, I mean, that voice is going to be heard. I mean, I was just shocked. I had my blog for a little over a year, and just being able to communicate with people. Some people respond, and some people don't. But you start these conversations, and that conversation could just be a ripple effect. You don't know how far that can go. So I would say being assertive with your beliefs and being an advocate for your friends and family, it stretches out from that micro level to a macro effort, which covers all issues that come up of injustice. Because, I mean, you just can't. You have to remember where we came from as a people and all the things that we went through as a people, to then turn around and become against something, it's mind-boggling to me that people cannot see that. That, 40 years ago it was you, or whatever it was, 50 years ago, you couldn't you couldn't go to a certain town after dark,
Hmm.
because you're black, and I mean that still may be the case today, but in some places, but you couldn't go into this restaurant, or this group was funding something and they didn't like black folks, but now they have a new person that they hate. It's either, so we need to, I would say, um, deal with it on that level. Speak up, be assertive. Um, we have to push back. It's just like when someone comes to you with some conservative fundamentalist nonsense, is make them uncomfortable with it.
That's
Don't
right.
just listen to it. No, it's like, what are you talking about? I don't, that really sounds ignorant to me. That sounds like you sound, and I tell you, I would say 90 some percent of the time when you push back, they fold. So that's how I would approach that.
Excellent, excellent. And one of the things that I wanted to express is, while there are some of us out here that advocate for social justice, by no means are we saying that this should be required of everyone. Because there are some people that may not have the time, there are some people who just may not want to participate in social justice activism. And we understand that. And the only reason why I'm bringing that up is because of a couple of comments that I've seen,
Hmm.
whereas people are saying that, well, you can't require that. No, no one is trying to require you to do anything. But we know that there are people in the community who want to get back out into the community and want to help. There are some people, some non believers, some atheists that still attend church just so that they can help in the community and still maintain, their grassroots and community activism. So what we're trying to do is, we're those of us that, basically feel that we want to give back to the community or continue to give back to the community. We're facilitating ways so that we can get back out here. We have several more projects coming up. We have a back to school project. We have a homeless project. Jennifer mentioned December 1st, World AIDS Day, and we'll be participating in that, and a number of other, programs that we're going to put on throughout the rest of the year, which is one of the reasons why we had our fundraiser. But we'll be talking more about that a little bit later. But I want to get back to this conversation here because it's absolutely amazing. And getting back to what Jennifer and Shelton both said, education. About educating other people, educating yourself. And when I say education, I'm not talking about having the alphabet behind your name. You can be an autodidact, which is self-taught, and that's why we put this information out there. If you go to the hashtag POCBF, again, POCBF, you'll see links, and we have links of information that we have out there on Twitter. And that's what I love about the Twitter hashtags. We can kind of use that as like a little bibliography, if you will. But when it goes back to, and especially something that Shelton said, I'm going to address him first. When you were talking about educating yourself on the different religions and educating yourself on history, that's extremely important. That's something that we do quite often on the webcast and the podcast. And what was one of the things, or one of the educational lessons that you learned that really set that light bulb off, letting you know that you were now officially a non believer?
I would say, the crack in the foundation for me was I was actually at a point where I was seeking the truth, and actually wanting to become a minister, in my religion. And my mentor slash rabbi was showing me why he did not believe in the New Testament, and he gave me Luke chapter 1. And Luke chapter 1, I say that was the death knell. That was it, because what it said in that first chapter was that Luke was basically writing a fourth or fifth hand account of something that he gathered together. And that was the reason that my mentor did not believe in it. And I thought, like, hey, I'm thinking that this was all direct, and I mean, I was just misled, which caused me to do they had a cascading effect, whereas I went all the way back. Okay, well, if it says this here, what about this other part here that I was supposed to believe in? And so that was the crack in the foundation. I'm getting third-hand information, fourth-hand information from this anonymous writer who really nobody knew who wrote that. You know, they just put a name to it. Back up into my most recent research is that I recently did a debate on Debate Talk for You, June the 6th of June the 6th, last month. And doing my research, like I said, we have this information age where it's like you don't have to wait and go to a library most times to find out. It's instantaneous, free information. And I started to read about this hypothesis, which I had known about, but just I had made up my mind I didn't believe, so it was a non-issue. I didn't believe, but I wanted to find out more for this debate. And I would say that the thing, as far as educating myself, was finding out exactly how the Bible came to be. Not only that, but finding out who the very, in other words, if you read a book, we have no problem with critically analyzing what we read. But when it comes to the Bible, we're taught, and people basically brainwashed to believe, okay, this is the word of God, forget about it, But when you remove your reverence for this book and you start to read it as any other book, and which literary critics have done over 150 years, they say, okay, well, let's stop revering this thing and see exactly what it is. It was found that these writings from the beginning 5 books on of the Old Testament were written by either 3 to 4 different writers with editors to kind of bring the story together, which causes all the confusion because you'll have what they call doublets and triplets of a story almost in one chapter, and it's confusing and it's contradictory because there are 2 schools of thought that are edited together to make it one message. On one particular instance, let's take for instance the flood story. The flood story, when you read it, is actually 2 stories in one, with 2 writers trying to promote either a priestly view of things or I would say either a different view of God. Okay, God is involved with us individually, like he can walk and talk with us, and the other version is one who's away from us. And they're trying to, and you can see once you read the literary criticism of it, how these 2 stories are fused together, and there's an editing part in it. I mean, that's the most important thing. And when you realize that, you say, well, where's this word of God come from? We know that God, whoever this God character entity is, did not write anything. We know that there's men who wrote these things and claimed that they were inspired. But when you look at it, removing the reverence, or saying taking off your God goggles, and you read it like you would read any other book, you can see what the purpose and what the input of this document was. So, it just removes that, and you say, okay, well, now I understand why there's contradictions to it, because, it's just like any other book. This one was actually very sloppy in being put together because there's so much controversy over what's right, and if there's contradictions, if there's errors or anything like that. So that's the latest thing that I have. And I mean, all the information I found about this was free. It's online. All they just took was an open mind to read it. And I think even if I was a believer, I would be interested in believing, because I'm interested in knowing about it, because if you are a believer, you are taking your life energy, and, like, for instance, instead of having this conversation today, we'd probably be sitting up in church or putting money into a pot, your hard-earned money that you put into to give to a pastor who has tricked you to believe that he's a representative of God. So, I would want to know everything that I am, make sure, is this thing right what I'm doing, because I work hard for this money, and I'd rather buy a new motorcycle rather than, getting passed to another Bentley. So, um, that, just to, and, kind of wind things up, that's what, getting educated, and as you said before, has nothing to do with letters behind your name. And as a matter of fact, I often find that in some circles to be negative, because we get into these real esoteric conversations where
Right.
just a group of people with the letters behind their name, they're special, and they're so used to speaking with each other that there's a barrier in just speaking in lay terms. So, there's no, hey, we can learn for ourselves. We don't need to get credentials to be able to discuss things or to intelligently analyze information. So, get is there. It's all, the majority of it is free. If you can't get it online, I go to the free library and get it, So I hope I wasn't too long-winded with that, but that's where I stand with that.
But no, and what you're saying is absolutely correct. The information, and if they don't have books by Dr. Anthony Penn or Norm Allen or Keith Hutchinson or Donald Wright's book at your library, you can request that they get those books. So, look the books up, look the information up online, print it, go to the library. If they don't have it, request it, they'll get it. Then you can check it out and read it at home. And, yeah, and don't forget about your local libraries. Get to the library. We don't want them closing libraries down because they're saying that no one is utilizing them anymore until they put everything on the internet as open source. And unfortunately, a lot of the information that, many of us like to read, some of the more academic, information out there that helps us with our research, a lot of that, you have to have subscriptions. And so if that's the case, go take one class at the junior college. Then you'll have access to everything as well. So there are ways around, quite a bit of this. And Jennifer, what was the crowning moment that made you a non-believer? What was that one lesson, that one piece of information that just turned that light bulb on for you?
Well, it happened. I remember the day like it was yesterday. I was 6 years old, and I was raised in a household where dad was Southern Baptist, mom was Jehovah's Witness, and my mom had a sister over from the Kingdom Hall of Jehovah's Witnesses for a Bible study. So we were going over the story of Noah's Ark. Now, if anyone out there has ever studied with or is familiar with the Jehovah's Witnesses, they have a book out called My Book of Bible Stories, where they have very graphic pictures depicting some events, horrible events in the Bible, and the flood is one of them. So in the picture you see the people crying and drowning and things like that, and that's harsh for a child to look at and still believe that their God is loving. So I asked the lady, hey, Sister Holloway, can you teach me? Can you tell me what happened to the dinosaurs? And she said, oh, well, the dinosaurs were created to flatten the earth enough for people to be able to walk upon it. And then once that happened, God didn't need the dinosaurs anymore. And I said, wow, so what's going to happen? What's going to happen when God is done with us? At what point is he going to decide to get rid of us? And, it was that moment that I started thinking, okay, I see that they're preaching about love, but I see people drowning. I see that they're preaching about love, and I go to the Kingdom Hall and I see people shunned. I see that they're preaching about love, and I go to the church and I see people talking poorly about one another and trashing each other behind their backs and trying to get money. You know, I saw so many contradictions growing up, and even then I still believed, you know, and through the years, I mean, I visited a number of different churches. I've been to a number of different places, and still believing, and then eventually it faded away. I realized that what does this what is this religion based upon? What is this connection to religion based upon? And I found that the root cause was fear. Mm-hmm. Am I afraid of dying and going to a fiery place, or am I afraid of dying and, you know, being judged, facing some sort of judgment for sins that I didn't commit, you know, years ago, you know? And it just went from there. I studied, I learned, I researched the different origins of religions. I've read the Bible from cover to cover, you know, twice. It's just, which is a very difficult way to read the Bible. It doesn't read like a story, really. It's kind of it's a little disjointed, a little crazy reading it that way. But I suggest that people that believe it read it, and read it with a critical mind. You know, just, does this make sense to you? You know, do you see these contradictions? And I was the one who spoke up in Sunday school. I was the one who spoke up during Bible studies, and I said, as a child, saying, hey, it says in this chapter and verse this, and this chapter and verse that. Which one is true? Oh, just have faith, sister. Just believe. Just trust in the Lord. You know, pray for understanding before you open up your Bible. And none of that stuff was flying with me anymore. You know, it just wasn't working. I knew that I could go to any other source, whether it be teachers, family members, and ask them a question about anything not related to religion and get a straight answer. Why can't I get a straight answer in church?
That's true.
Right. You know, so, you know, I just took that and ran with it, you know, and went from there. And, you know, I started to really question. I was like, okay, well, when slaves were brought to this country, our ancestors were brought to this country, there weren't like Baptists and Methodists and Catholics sitting on that boat together, you know, and they came over and know what they should be believing in and whatnot. No, this religion was beaten into us. We were indoctrinated to believe this stuff. We were indoctrinated to worship a master, and it made it easier for us to become more, it made it easier for us to have that stronger psychological grip than I think a lot of other groups out there. It's hard to, when I tell people I don't believe in a God, they think it's hard. They look at me as a black female, they automatically assume that I'm a believer, I'm a Christian.
Right.
You know, because most of the ones that I know are. And it just takes them aback. They don't fathom it. They have a lot of questions. But I've seen a lot online, and I've seen a lot in, you know, interacting with people that are non-believers, where between people who are theists and people who don't believe. And one thing that I always keep in mind in my interactions with people who do believe is that I may be the first person that they ever met that doesn't believe in a God or gods. So how I conduct myself and how I treat them and how I speak with them and answer their questions is going to form an opinion of what atheists are about and what black atheists are about. And it's important that we understand and empathize and know that at one point we were believing too. At one point our ancestors were there too. At one point we had to look at our parents and realize that our parents, as flawed as they are, and as flawed as we all are, did the best they could with what they know how to do for us. And I welcome opportunities to work with organizations, even if they do believe, because I believe that people in the atheist community, I believe we should be providing some of those services that churches do. And I'm willing to work with organizations that think about the greater good. I don't have to take your Bible pamphlets. I don't have to believe in your Bible, but I can believe in humanity, and I can believe in what the greater good we can do, the greater good that we can do together for society, for this community, especially given our the indoctrination and socioeconomic challenges that we're faced with. And, so many of us, over 800,000 people of color in prison. What are they going to do when they come out, if they come out?
Right. That's right.
I mean, they don't have any voting power. They can't get jobs. We have serious issues in this community, and those people are hungry. People are sick. People need health care. People need clothing. Those are real human issues that we all face. I've personally been hungry. I've personally needed clothing. I've personally lived in a shelter, and we have to understand that just because we got this atheism and just because we got this knowledge and this understanding doesn't make us above anyone else as a person. So I just welcome more and more opportunities to embrace people of different backgrounds and diverse backgrounds, and work together with other both atheist groups that are of color, and our allies within the community that are not of color, and other organizations that even if they are religious, because I'm all about the greater good.
That's right. That's right. Exactly. Exactly. And, I agree with you 100% with that because, I've spoken before about how I've seen some atheists interact with Christians. And I've said before, that could be my mother, my sister, my uncle, my grandfather that you're talking to. So, I just feel that we should show a little bit more compassion, a little bit more understanding, because we do have access to some information. And then also, what Jennifer said, we used to be believers. You can't forget where you came from. You can't forget at one point in time, you were running all over the church just like everybody else. You were putting your money in the basket just like everybody else. You were out here proselytizing, whether it was to someone else in the church or to one of your co-workers or to your children or whomever. You were once part of that community. Not all of us, but, quite a few of us are. So we have to take all of that back into consideration. Then also, about the, socioeconomic conditions in many communities of color. In most cases, we are educationally and economically disadvantaged. And, I hear people out here saying that they want to abolish the church. They want to, abolish anything with religion. Religion has done some good in some respects. I mean, think about it. Some of us came out of the church. That was the first place I learned how to speak in front of a crowd, so that's where I learned about public speaking. That's where I learned about public performance. That's where I learned more about sharing, and other things. But again, some of these churches do serve the community. They do serve, a purpose to a certain extent. I'm not talking about theology and I'm not talking about doctrine. I'm talking more along the lines of social justice and community activism. And so I guess I would ask Jennifer, where do you see the atheist community as a whole in its role for social justice? Do you see us playing a more prominent role in the future? What would you like to see? I guess that's the better question.
Okay, what I see is that a lot of the things that we had when we were practicing religion and believing, a lot of those traits and habits have carried over into the atheist community. Um, some to the positive and a lot to the negative. What I would like to see is more coalition building, more things that we can do to help the community as non-believers that would help to change the perception of who we are. It's easy to say I don't care what anybody thinks about me, or I only care about the people who pay me, my job and things like that. But the reality is we just have to form more alliances. We have to confront that racism that exists when it happens. We have to confront hunger. We have to confront sickness. We have to confront what's going on with the new Jim Crow and our children being locked up. There's a number of things that we need to confront, but I think that instead of sitting back and pointing a finger at all the religious people in the churches that about how they take money. All right, well, that's true. Maybe we need to be pushing them to pay some taxes. Maybe we need to be saying, well, I see what you're doing here, but we need to do something for our people too, and we care as well. Is religion ever going to go away? I don't believe so.
Right.
Um, is there is but is that the ultimate goal? That's the ultimate goal for a lot of people. My ultimate goal is to help people find a voice within this community, make people feel welcome and embraced, regardless of ethnic background. And my mission is to do for the community, because even though my parents were religious, mom Jehovah's Witness, dad Southern Baptist, they both instilled in me the care for my fellow man. They used to take me and my brothers to actually help the elderly with their groceries. They used to take us to do volunteer work. My mother said, you could always afford something, even if it's just your time. And I
That's
took
right.
those words to heart. And this is what my religious parents instilled in me. So, I mean, I can't totally throw the baby out with the bathwater, when it comes to myself and how I was formed as a person. Granted, everybody's got some jacked up stories they could tell about their past and their family members, but I think that we need to look at each other and build community and look at each other as family. That's how I look at Black Atheists of Philadelphia. I mean, the people in the group are like my extended family. I feel like I could call just about any one of them and shoot the breeze, like they're my friends and family in the world. And I'd like to continue with that and share that with as many people as I can.
Excellent. Excellent. And Shelton, what about yourself?
I think I would just kind of continue from what I said before, is to uh, work from the from self. And I always thought that, like, if an individual in any arena has put themselves first, then they're able to treat those around them much better. If you're a healthy person, you're a better advocate for health. Um, and thinking of some things that Jen said about, as far as will religion go away? In a way, I really hope so, because I think that the humanistic values are superior to those, to dogma and to doctrine. And we don't need to have things shrouded in mystery, because we are in an age where we know a lot of things, and we are learning more. And we don't know everything as far as our environment, but we can be humble enough to know that we don't know those things, and be able to pursue them without foregoing conclusions. So, I mean, I think that there's not much more that I can add to what she said, other than just not necessarily agreeing with that point. Um, and I think that if individuals interact with others, if it's joining groups, or if it's being affiliated with groups, or if it's just starting conversations, um, on that level, that's where it starts and it branches out. So that's pretty much what I have to say on that.
Excellent, Shelton. Tell us the name of your blog.
It's Farpoint, like FARPOINTE.wordpress.com. And Shelton Henderson is my. You can just look that up for my YouTube. I spend more time discussing things on the blog and posting articles and things I come across on the web and whatever I'm researching. I've had a nice body of work concerning the beginnings of the Hebrew Israelite movement, which came out of the late 1800s, and how that evolved into what it is pretty much today. But my main concentration is on the old end, and then as I prepare for my first debate, I put my notes and my strategy kind of up there. And I think it's highly educational to know, we look at these documents, and, we no longer have to revere them. We can just look at them for what they are. So that's my site there, farpoint at wordpress.com.
Excellent, excellent. And Jennifer, tell us where we can find Black Atheists of Philadelphia.
You can locate Black Atheists of Philadelphia on meetup.com, and you could also locate Black Atheists of Philadelphia on Facebook as well. And we generally do meetings once a month, and we also, go to hear live music. We go to barbecues. We go to separation of church and state meetings. So it's a good mix of activities, a little something for everyone that might be interested, even if people are just interested in on the online banter and exchanges that we have on our Facebook group.
Excellent, excellent. And again, we want to stress that, we have groups all across the country, and you can reach out to any of us. As a matter of fact, Black Atheists of Philadelphia, they're having a special meeting. They have a special guest coming at the end of the month. Tell us about that, Jen.
We have the Free Thought Society is hosting Dr. Sakivu Hutchinson, but I've also extended that invitation to the Philadelphia Coalition of Reason and also to Black Atheists of Philadelphia, and I will be doing the opening welcome for Dr. Hutchinson when she comes. It's going to be great. I'm looking forward to it.
Date, time, and location, please.
Okay, that is July 24th. 7 p.m. at the Ludington Library located in Bryn Mawr. It's actually 10 minutes outside of West Philadelphia. So it's a western suburb of Philadelphia, and the library is located about 10 minutes outside of Philadelphia.
All right, excellent, excellent. And we would like to thank Shelton and Jen for coming and spending some time with us today on this People of Color Beyond Faith webcast. And this is only the first time, so we plan to see more of them because we have some things coming up in August. And I'm giving you both a heads up. I will be contacting you. It's a lot more coming up. And again, October 11th to 12th of this year, CFI Los Angeles. We would like to see you there for our Moving Social Justice Conference. It's going to be a good time. It's the first time that any of us have ever done anything like this as far as having a humanist social justice conference. So we're looking forward to seeing you guys. And again, it's the first. We plan on doing plenty more. And for those of you that are watching, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. There's more to come. We thank you all for joining us today. Shelton and Jen, it was a privilege and an honor to speak with you both today. And we look forward to speaking with you all again in a not so distant future. And on that note, I would like to thank the audience. Please enjoy this podcast, well, not podcast, the webcast at your leisure anytime. We'll leave it archived on YouTube, and we look forward to seeing you next week. And not quite sure, but I know on the 20th, Chocolate City Skeptics will be here. So look forward to that, and we have a few more groups coming up. But on that note, I want you all to have a lovely rest of the afternoon, okay?
Great.
Thank you very much.
All right.
All right.
Thanks.